Okay, I'm back. Okay, so we got through the Ten Commandments. I know I'm not going to say got through. It's a good thing that we learned the Ten Commandments, and it's true simply because many of us have been walking in error. If you are a Sunday worshiper because of the Son or because the Messiah was risen on a Sunday, you're operating in error. And if I'm not correct about this, then you can sum that up just by showing me where in Scripture was the Sabbath day of worship from Friday sunset to Saturday sunset change in biblical Scripture. If you can show me where that change took place, then I will be more than gracious, because I would like to know how possibly did God's Sabbath worship on a Saturday, or from Friday sunset to Saturday sunset, be changed to a Sunday. Now, we know, as I just showed you, that that was done by man, the Catholic Church. We also learned that Revelation already exposed whom the Catholic Church were. The great whore that is described in Revelation 17. They fit it to a T. It is amazing how Scripture is just so revealing if you can just accept the truth. Instead of worrying about what man thinks, you better be worried about what God thinks, because your eternal soul is on the line. As we read, those who names are not written in God's book of life, they're going to be the ones who's going to wander. They're going to follow the ways of the world, and they're going to miss the mark. It tells you that straight and narrow is the path that leadeth to righteousness, to God's paradise. And there's only few that's going to find it. Only few. The majority of the world is going to miss the mark. Okay, so we're going to now get into God's chosen people. Does God have a chosen people? Out of this entire world of ethnic groups and tribes, is there any one special people that God has chosen above everyone else that are his people? Some people say that God does not have a chosen people. So what I decided to do was just to pull up some scriptures, and we're going to learn whether or not if God has a chosen people. Then we're going to find out some things that we're going to read scripture that's going to show things that were told in advance. Then we're going to read curses that befell or that are upon God's people to identify who his people are, if in fact he does have a special people. I know that he does have a special, chosen, peculiar people. And so we're going to get into scripture to find out just about that information, because it's important for you to know where these scriptures exist. So we're going to get into God's chosen people so that we can know that, number one, he has a chosen people. Then we're going to know or learn, number two, who his people are. Out of all the different ethnic races, tribes, groups, of people on this earth, who are God's people? We're going to find that out in scripture. So we're going to get started. Okay, so in Deuteronomy it tells you, out of heaven he made thee to hear his voice, that he might instruct thee. And upon the earth he showed thee his great fire, that thou heardest his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved thy fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them, and brought thee out in the sight with his mighty power out of Egypt, So the ones he delivered out of, that were delivered out of Egypt, that we know that saw God's great fire, are the Hebrew Israelites. Okay? So we're going to read scriptures that's going to make it clear that God does have a chosen people, which we just read that because he loved their fathers, he chose their seed after them. Okay? Okay, it says, behold, the heaven and the heaven of heavens is the Lord's thy God, the earth also with all that therein is. Only the Lord had a delight in thy fathers to love them, and he chose their seed after them, even above, and he chose their seed after them, even you above all people as it is this day. Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your hearts, and be no more stiff-necked. For the Lord your God is God of gods, the Lord and Lord of lords, a great God, mighty and a terrible, which regard not persons, nor taketh rewards. So it tells us here that he delighted in their fathers to love them, and he chose their seed after them, even you above all people. Okay? And then even more so, as it is this day. So those of you who were God's people back then, you're still God's people now. So now it says here, and Moses and the priest, the Levites spake unto all Israel, all the Israelites, Israel, saying, take heed and hearken, O Israel. This day thou art become the people of the Lord thy God. Thou shalt therefore obey the voice of the Lord thy God, and do his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. Okay? So understand, yes, God does have a chosen people. Okay? For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are on the face of the earth. Okay? And the Lord did not set his love upon you, nor chose you, because ye were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people. But because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, hath the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondage from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. So we know that this is the Israelites. It says, thou shalt be blessed above all people. There shall not be male or female barren among you, or among your cattle. And the Lord will take away from thee all sicknesses, and will put none of the evil diseases of Egypt, which thou knowest, upon thee, but will lay them upon all them that hate thee. So all the ones that hate you, God is going to reverse the curse. Okay?